Hey guys. I'm gonna wait 2 minutes, let everybody get in here. It's 1:58 now. Cool. So we'll keep question period towards the end. I think there was a few questions in the server just about watching for 15-minute chalks. Give me 2 seconds. Where is the trading questions? Yeah, so one of the 15-minute chalks from last week on the accumulation schematic. So we'll go over that a little bit later on. What time is it? Yeah, we'll go ahead and start. We've got 16 people sitting in here. Everybody knows to be on time. So yeah, welcome to week 2 of the I guess we're going to call this the forecasting sessions on Sundays, or the Sunday forecasting. Week 2, let's go. Right, Carlo? So yeah, we're just going to look at some higher time frame POIs. I'm going to get rid of a good part of actually all of my drawings, and we'll just work from a top-down perspective, kind of starting on the daily time frame, and then working our way down onto just the 4 hours. So actually, we'll start on the weekly. So you can see that obviously we've been in downtrend all the way down like this, and we're coming into an area of demand where we've broken structure in the past. So it's to no surprise that we're obviously expecting some sort of a push off of this level. So always good to, on the Sunday, just give yourself that perspective again going into the week to kind of start things out. So I only have, let me just go like this and pick this demand like that. So we're reacting to demand, obviously to be able to see the true change of character on the weekly. We've seen the logo as the sweep, and then we're expecting hopefully these equal highs to get ran as liquidity to then maybe change our trend, creating equal highs to then run into higher time frame equal highs up here to confirm this bullish trend on the weekly, right? So it's going to depend how we end up shaping up in and around these regions, whether or not we see some resistance or if we end up just smashing through it. But yeah, just to give you an overall perspective, just good to remind yourself that we are in fact reacting to higher time frame demand, and we should only be looking for the highest quality positions, which in this case would be buy positions that correlate with higher time frame and lower time frame. Getting down into the daily, yeah, there we go. Where did that? We lost our. Just give me a sec. Let me go over to a weekly, and I just want to change my filters for this visibility on all of the time frames. And let's go down to the daily and see if that fixes it. Yeah, there we go. So you can see that we haven't changed character on the daily. Obviously, it's something that is a little bit more apparent on the 4 hour and stuff like this. Now we're in some sort of a supply flip zone right in here. You can see that it happened after the break, but nonetheless, this is that push up before snapping down, and that's sort of what we're reacting to right now. So there was potentially some supply trades to be able to take. Oops, let me just go like this and flick this guy back into our supply range. So yeah, we've kind of driven into this a little bit higher. We've liquidated the highs right here, but you can see on the lower time frames getting onto our 4 hour and stuff like this, that essentially we are reacting to these levels right in here, right? Basically creating these equal highs across, sitting like this. And likely that'll be generating liquidity for a deeper move at some point. So let me just make sure that we have our 240 liquidity. So we ran this high, creating that break of structure. Once we have the break of structure, ideally what ends up happening is if this is going to kind of hold, the idea is that the low down here should be the next. So we've got the low, the next high, the new lower or higher low, the new higher high. And the idea is that this will not get breached, provided we stay in this bullish H4 order flow. So you can see that we're kind of tapering into the zones that we would really like to kind of trade from. You can see that we have a really nice POY resting here that's taken a whole bunch of the sell side liquidity and being able to potentially dive one more time into this before running equal highs. So I think it's, to no surprise that the highlight of the week or the trade of the week is likely to come from within this sort of demand range that's resting at the structural low on the 4-hour. Obviously, we do have unmitigated areas down in here, but I would expect to see maybe one more run of this low getting into this week, and then we can start to look at some lower time frame entries and stuff like that. Are there any questions so far just about the higher time frame narrative? Like I said, the idea for this week, at least for myself, is that our highest probability trade should come from this region right here. Obviously, we need to see some sort of an accumulation schematic kind of show itself within here. So this takes some time to develop. So I'm just going to refer back to last week so that we can kind of talk about this a little bit more in detail. When this same sort of thing ended up happening, you can just kind of see the 15-minute change of character sort of happened. The first one happened right here, right? And then we ran the low again to liquidate all of the positions underneath, followed up by a really strong V-shaped recovery, which obviously shows the aggression of institutional money coming into the market. Once that ends up happening, we need to reestablish our feet and be able to watch that first chalk sort of happen, understand that this provides liquidity for the sweep down here, and then gives us targeted liquidity as this schematic sort of shows itself. So just remember that our setups are designed to be in the highest probability areas and not so much capitalizing on every impulsive leg that happens within the market. So where these things start to become a lot more clear is when we've come up to mitigate specific areas and then fail to take out specific lows, followed through with a V-shaped recovery, proving to have demand. And then from there, we can start to build. And you can just see how many different entry areas that we have that fit our criteria. So just be mindful that the point that we are sort of in within the market right now is we've had the initial push up that gives us the change of character. So if you look over here, you can see that this is kind of like the initial push up right here. And it takes time to build out all of these things to be able to provide liquidity for our moves. Just give me a second. I just want to get rid of all my drawings. So we need the liquidity to get sort of created in the market, to get people trapped on the wrong side of the market so that we can capitalize on this move. Now, with that being said, this is the first change of character after we've sort of liquidated these lows down here, which is what we talked about early last week. You can see that we're obviously reacting to this kind of nested POY that rests right below a liquidity region. Doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to hold. It is going to obviously give us some sort of a reaction, but now you can see that we're creating mitigations to potentially run this low one last time to be able to then target something a little bit higher, right? But right now, there's not a whole lot of liquidity developed for us to be able to run into this high. The only liquidity that we can assume is that expectational order flow is basically suggesting that we put in a new high. However, we need lower time frame liquidity to build in the form of equal highs and mitigations to be able to produce those levels. Were there any questions about this? Give me a 1 if you understand, and 2 if you're not quite with me. Cool. Yeah, so can we look for trades in here? Yes, of course. But the thing is it's going to depend on how we deliver into this. If we deliver nice and correctively with a lot of built up mitigations, that's going to basically provide liquidity for us to be able to move in the direction that we want to go. However, if we move very aggressively and we just basically come up to mitigate this section right here, chances are these equal lows would get ran, and then we can run it into equal highs. So just remember, how we deliver into this area of interest down here is ultimately what's going to put us in the driver's seat for how we position ourselves. So to trade this pro trend with the 4 hour, we need to see how we deliver into here. If we deliver this way and move up, that's perfect. And if we just end up kind of snapping down and then failing to take out this high like this, more than likely these lows will get taken. We could then look for the counter trend move coming down into the deeper section of this leg. And then we'll look for the pro trend stuff, right? But the trade of the week, in my opinion, will come from sort of this level right here, depending on, of course, how it shapes up and whether or not we get criteria delivered to us. But ultimately, that's where we're looking to watch where this next higher low is going to get formed to potentially put in the higher high. That's pretty well it for me. I mean, there's not a whole lot to say with these higher time frame narratives moves, just because we're trying to focus on where these better trades are sort of going to come from. So if Dave is here, let me just have a quick look and see if Dave, yeah, he is here. So Dave, if you want to, I'm going to give you some permission to just run through Notion really quick. Give me 2 seconds. And I just want to see, is Ghost Shadow FX here as well? If you are, can you just...
Yeah, I'm right here.
Awesome. Cool. So I'm going to give you guys permission. Just give me 1 second. And I'm going to let Dave kind of walk you through. I think Dave's got a few things he wants to say. And then I'll let you guys kind of sort out. Basically, all he's going to do is just kind of walk through your Notion template. And the purpose of doing this is not to necessarily see your results. It's more about just making sure that things are filled out properly, go through it with the community, make sure that everybody's understanding how to use the Notion template itself, and make sure that, yeah, like I said, the parameters are just filled in properly. And then, Dave, if you can, we'll just run through how to set up the week again very quickly so that people understand. Shouldn't take too long today. This is our second round doing this. I think everybody's pretty well on the same page at this point, but okay, I'm just going to give some permissions. I'm going to stop my share. And Dave, I believe I gave you access to the Notion.
Yeah, I have it pulled up right here.
Okay, great. Awesome. So multiple participants and one participant, advanced. Okay, Dave, you should be able to share now.
Okay, awesome.
Thanks, man.
Cool. So is it cool if I just pull up your Notion template on the screen there, bro?
Yeah, no problem, man.
Okay,
awesome. So if you want to keep your mic on too, and then you guys can talk back and forth, and I'm just going to mute myself, let you guys carry on with your thing. And then, like I said, Dave, if you can just close it out with just resetting up a week again, showing everybody that process. And this should be pretty short and sweet today.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, cool. So let me just pull it up here. There we go. So you can have it pulled up on your computer as well, and any changes you make would like live update on the screen share as well, just because we're both viewing the same page. So yeah, so basically what we're going to do is you have your trading week right here, March 14 to 18, and we're just going to run through like an actual weekly review process. You don't have to, answer all the reflection questions and stuff like that. We just want to run through everything, make sure it was all linked up correctly. And if there's any issues that you're having with the template, any questions or any parts you don't really understand, we can go over those as well. But at this point, it should be, I think most people have a good grasp on it, but I do still get some questions from time to time. So yeah, basically guys, once you're done a week of trading and you've done all of your end of day markups and all of your case studies, this is kind of what your page would look like. You would have the trading week right here, and you would have your 5 trading days down here. And the rest is kind of just going through the process. So if we open up the trading week page, and we can maximize it. You can see right here, the first step is that you make sure, like I just said, that you've recorded every trade you took. That's your end of day markups, and you completed a case study and filled those into the trades as well. Right here, it's going to remind you to ensure all trading days of this week are linked above. So they're right there, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Awesome. So we can check that off. Oh, I can't check it off. You'll have to check that
should
one
I
off.
change your permission? Wait, let me check. Okay.
Oh, no, that's all right. You can just check this off.
Okay. Oh yeah, wait. I forgot. Yeah, I
Yeah.
can also have a. Okay. Wait. We got trading mix, right? Yeah. Yeah, done.
Okay, awesome. And then, yeah, so that'll probably just update here in a second. And then this bullet point, actually, we can remove from the template just because we did make a couple changes, but we can do that at a different time. It's not a big deal. So you have your end date here, which is awesome. So you can check that box off as well. And then let's review your taken trades. Again, we're not going to go through every single one just for the sake of brevity here, but we're going to open one up and just kind of run through it. Okay.
Cool. I have no problem. You go with it. Try anything if you want. I have no problem with that.
Sounds good. So, and then after that, we would do the case study trades. After that, you fill out the reflect. And then after that, we just set up a new week. So it's a pretty step-by-step process here. So do you have any particular trade you want to just go over? We're not going to be going over like the technicals. I'm not the trading coach. I'm just going to make sure that whatever you entered is valid. So we can go over one of the no trades taken, or we can go over one of the actual trades.
Whichever one you want. Which one? I don't know. I guess.
Okay, all good. I'll just pull one up then. I just picked at random. So, okay, so you have the correct icon here, which indicates that you selected the trade taken loss as your template, which is awesome. It's linked to the correct trading day. That happens automatically if you're filling it out from within this card, which is good. The date is correct. The day of the week is just a formula, so that's going to be correct as well. It's linked to the correct week. Awesome. Because this is a taken trade, you don't fill out the R case study, which is awesome. You didn't put anything in there. And your R trade taken is automatically filled out at -1 because it was a loss. So this is all good so far. Trade taken, again, is automatically filled in for you when you select the template that is a lost trade taken. It knows that it's a trade taken, so that's correct. The target here, you would fill out based on, I guess I can't choose. It doesn't show up on my end.
Yeah,
but you would fill out
this entry was actually an accident.
Oh, okay. No worries. Oh, I see. You entered the actual markets by accident, or you entered it into Notion?
Yeah, I know, because I'm still getting used to the MP4 trade assistant, so I accidentally pressed the market execution cell while looking at the charts.
Perfect. Yeah, no, that's awesome that you're being thorough and you're putting it in here regardless. So yeah, that's good. So yeah, that's a kind of a fluke, but things do happen. So there you go. I see it right here in the debrief. So cool. So yeah, your first partial would be just the amount that you lost on the trade. Your risk percent is good. And then it just calculates the rest. And because it's not a case study, the case study profit would be 0 on this particular trade. So all of this is perfectly filled out, considering the circumstances, of course. And then you have, just a screenshot regardless showing what happened and where this entry was. And then you would probably have, you have some links here, but because there's no actual analysis, it was an accident. There's no real reason to go through here, but yeah, this is filled out perfectly. You pasted the screenshot of the 1 minute time frame, which shows clearly what happened in the position and where it was in relation to the, the candles and everything. And you have your 4 time frames down here, which I'm sure are correct. And you've done them in the link format. So for anyone who's watching this, the purpose of doing this way is once you have this all filled out properly in your own Notion and you want some feedback on a trade, for example, it's much easier for someone like Tyson to go through. If you up here, you have a way to share in your own. I'm just viewing Timothy's Notion here, so I don't have the ability to share it, but on your own, you have the ability to share a particular page. So the thing that we've realized is if you do it on the trades database, so the lowest level, you can share an individual trade, but it's going to have all the relevant information. It's going to show basically a lot of your mindset up here. What were you targeting? What did you think was going to happen? What confluences did you see? How much were you risking? What was the result? And what did you, think in your own words about this trade? So it gives Tyson a very good, glimpse as to what was going through your mind and why you entered this trade. And then you should have detailed markups and all the different timeframes. So it's very thorough, and it's a lot like it's a standardized way to get feedback on a trade, right? So if you had like something like that and you dropped it into trading questions, that would be a helpful way to just be like, here's the link to this particular trade. What do you guys think? Or Tyson, could you give me some feedback on it? And then it's really easy to rifle through the different timeframes and see what was going on in that trade. So that's why it's designed this way, and also for your own records as well, to be able to go back and everything's always the same way, filled out very consistently. So yeah, that's awesome. This is exactly how I envisioned it to be used. So yeah, you did an awesome job on this one. So let's go back. Cool. So that would be your reviewing your trades taken. So yeah, each time when you do that, the idea here where you have the debrief at the bottom here, you would be able to see first and foremost from this bird's eye view, you can kind of recognize a lot of your trades depending on, how many you take and stuff throughout the week, but you can see what they are and you can recognize them and jump into them this way. It's like a visual index of all your trades. And then there's also the table view, which kind of shows you more in a spreadsheet type of format, what's going on. And it shows you in ascending order. So basically this is your first trade of the week, and this was your last trade or your last entry, I should say, for the week. It shows you which day of the week. So if you wanted to kind of go recap on Tuesday, it's easy to kind of do that sort of thing. And then, yeah, you can kind of just view the different results. And this is also a good way to catch if you missed any of the properties. If you didn't fill out, for example, your exit reason on some of the trades, you would be able to go back in there and fill those out, right? So it's a nice way to catch those types of things. And then same thing with the calendar view. It's just another way to envision the data that you filled in for the week without actually having to do multiple, effort. It's just did it one time, but you're able to view that information several different ways. So that's kind of how that works. And this automatically has the correct filters on it. I can't change them, but it has the correct filters on it when you set up the week the correct way. So for anyone who's watching, this would be kind of how you do your review of your taken trades, as you kind of go flip through whichever views make the most sense for whatever you're trying to review. I like the gallery view, but certain times I'll flip over to the table view and just kind of see. You can also add these at the bottom here. Whenever you hover over amount, like the bottom of a table, you can add certain calculations. So for example, your, I don't know, your risk percentage or whatever, you can see like this one has a sum built into it. So it shows you the sum of your taken trades profit for the week. Other ones you can like average your total R, like for example, your R trades taken. If you're getting like some that were, winners and they had +8 and +12 and +5, you can kind of see an average or a total R, whatever you want. You can add these little at the bottom of a table, you can just click and choose what you want it to calculate. So that's pretty helpful as well. But yeah, you just kind of flip through, you open up and you read the debrief on each one. So you want to reread this and kind of like refamiliarize yourself with the trade and if it's a loss, learn from it, right? Why did this go wrong? What did I mistake? Like that's part of the review, right? Whereas we're not just one and done and hope we learned from the experience just by going through it, but this gives you another chance to revisit the trade, revisit what went wrong, or in the case of a win, what went right? Where did I have that learning experience where before this would have been a loss, or I would have jumped in too early, or I wouldn't have had the patience. Whereas this time I really waited for it to develop, and like just going through that mentally helps you learn from the experience more than once, right? Whereas if you don't do these types of things, you just kind of hope you take something away from the experience and that you're going to do better next time. This is kind of a way to engineer that process a little bit more deliberately. So so read through your debriefs when you do this process, and they're kind of the preview of the debrief is always at the bottom here, but yeah, just open up each trade and kind of read through it, scan through it, try to learn something from it, and then move on, right? So don't need to ruminate over things like this for hours and hours, but it's good to review. So you would check this box right here. And then you do the same thing for your case studies. So we can just quickly open up a case study and see if they're filled out correctly. So let's pick this beautiful example right here. So you guys will notice the icons that have the circles around them. So whether it's a check mark, an X, or a minus sign for break even, the ones that have a circle around them are for your case studies, and the ones that don't are for your taken trade. So that's just for when you're on this page, you can easily sort of like a table view, for example, that these are all taken trades because they don't have a circle around them. And then down here, these are all, case study trades because they do have the circle. So just so you guys are aware of the difference. But yeah, this beautiful example is the one we were looking at. So let's run through again. So you got the correct day, the correct date, day of the week, the R is filled out. See, in this case, because it's a case study, you put it in the correct field. So that's awesome. That's just the difference of where you put the R. Trade type would automatically be filled out. The target, perfect. Exit reason, awesome. Psychology, you don't really have to put in for a case study because it's
Okay,
not
awesome.
really relevant. That's okay. It's fine. You just don't have to do it. Same with the debrief. Like there's nothing to really revisit because you weren't in the heat of the moment. Like your psychology and the debrief are supposed to be for taking trades to kind of just re-enter the headspace that you were in, right? Were you in a good mood? Were you well rested? That sort of thing. And then the debrief is just kind of like re-explaining what happened and why you entered at the moment that you did, which is kind of hard to do in a case study. And it's not really relevant because it's not your actual performance. It's more of just training your eye to catch these things, just for everybody listening. Yeah, so you don't have to fill out the psychology section for case studies because you didn't actually, it wasn't in the moment, right? So that's cool. It's all good if it's there. It just doesn't make a big difference is all I'm getting at. I do see that you changed these things as well. And Tyson, we did want to discuss this at some point, that the stuff that was in here as the options with like the H4 Pro Trend and M15 Pro Trend and whatever, like we probably want to change those up at some point so we can release an update to the template and tell everybody how to do that. But yeah, this is more in line with the way that the flowcharts actually work. So good on you for taking the initiative and updating that for yourself.
So Dave,
Thanks,
I actually did when we did a video last week, we just kind of walked through how to switch these things out for the new models. But I think what we'll do is we'll actually adjust the template so that anybody new that comes into the server will have these new sort of entry model, I guess, titles.
Oh, okay, awesome. So that must have been the one video I missed this week. I didn't know that.
It's all good, but yeah, I showed everybody how to kind of swap out from H4 Pro Trend, M15 Pro Trend into the more relevant sort of annotations.
Okay, got it. So awesome then. Sweet. And then yeah, your entry confluences, I'm just gonna assume that this is all correct. This is not really my my area here. Your risk. Did you update this manually, or did you edit your templates to reflect your?
No, manually.
Okay, so for anyone who wants to know, let me just quickly pull up a different screen. I'll show you how to change this in case you like to risk a different amount. Let me just remember how to do this. Give me 2 seconds. I'm going to pull up Notion and then switch to Fractal Markets. And let me just 2 seconds, guys. Zoom go, share screen, Notion. All right, so in here, when you guys have your like the trades database, if you go over here where there's the new button, you have all the templates, right? And so we're talking specifically about changing the amount that you risk per trade, which is going to be used in some calculations. So if you go over to the case study, which is the one that actually uses the risk percentage. I mean, I guess you should edit all of them, but if you just click edit, just be very careful when you're in here not to change anything. This is where it automatically chooses for you. So you can just edit this amount to say 0.25%. And you don't have to put the percent sign, it'll just do it for you. That simple. And now every time you call up this template, it'll use that number instead. So if you're like, oh, 0.5% is not what I use ever, so I'd like to change it to 0.35 or 0.25 or whatever it is that you like, then you can go in and edit all of these. So I'm just going to undo that and leave it the way that it was. But if anybody wants to know how to do that in their own, you can come over to your trades database over where the new, there's a little drop down. And then this is where you can access all of the database templates for this particular database. And you can just go in here and click edit and just change that one thing that says 0.5% and just change it to a quarter. Or you can leave it blank, remove it from the template, and then each trade you can just fill it in by hand. But obviously that kind of defeats the purpose. So let me just go back to where we were. And I see a couple questions in here. So Jack had a question for Tyson. Carlo, cool. I'm glad you're enjoying it. Hugo, any way to make the trade tiles larger? So let me just pull up Timothy's Notion again. And I think this was the one. Yeah. So to see a larger, let's just touch on that real quick. In here, so you're talking specifically about these tiles in here. In the gallery view, right? Over here in your database, again, I can't do it because I'm just viewing Timothy's, but over here, there's a little three dots. And if you click on that, and I think it's under the option that says properties, you can choose what properties you would like to view, such as the name of the card, the date, the R, this little line, all these things that I've pre-selected because I thought they made the most sense. The debrief is there. So in that section, you can choose the card size. I think I have it set to large. I'm not sure. But yeah, you can adjust the size there to whatever the maximum is. And I think it might depend on like the size of your window as well, like how big your computer screen is, but it might not. I'm not 100% sure, but yeah, make it maximum. And then the same thing. So if you're in here in the March 14 to 18 and you make a change, that's only going to change it here. But if you go over to your Trading Weeks database and find the new button that I just showed you in the other one, and then click the edit, then you can kind of adjust it in the template itself so that every time you pull up a new week, it'll automatically have it as the larger size. But I think this is already set to large. This might be medium. I'm not sure. But yeah, as you can see, the more trades you have, the bigger this section of your weekly review becomes. But yeah, there is a way that you can change the size. I just don't know if this is the maximum or not. So hopefully that answers your question. Let's go back to the chat. If I could find it. Zoom and screen share. There we go. And from the gallery, if we choose the wrong template, how do we change it? Okay, that's a great question. So if you choose the wrong template, like let's say you wanted to enter a trade and you chose the win case study instead of the win taken trade, the easiest way is to just delete the card and start again. Or what you can do is just delete all, let me just quickly pull up mine again. So if I share screen Notion in here, if I just go to like a sample trading day, I have this here and I wanted to add a trade, right? And I chose to do my end of day markups and oops, I chose a case study by accident. So now this is in my taken trades. See, it says trade taken, but I selected case study. So something's not right there, right? So you can go up here and you can click delete the card, right? Or what you can do if you've already filled out some of this information, you don't want to start again, just click and drag and delete all of this stuff, backspace, and then delete this by clicking remove, and then click win trade taken. Now it's going to give you the correct icon. If you don't remove the icon first, it's going to keep it because it doesn't overwrite anything except blanks. So you want to kind of delete everything that you want. So trade taken was fine, so I didn't need to delete that. And then all of this stuff. So anything you fill out here won't be replaced if you have it filled out. If it's blank and the template is meant to fill it in, it will. But if there's already something there, the template won't overwrite it, if that makes sense. So yeah, now this stuff came back because it's also part of the other template and you can fill it out from there. So yeah, I've done that a couple times as well. Or say you take like, two trades that are very similar. You can also, once you filled out these things, you can click up here and you can click duplicate. And then now when I go back to this sample trading day, which disappeared because it's filtered out, but if I go here, we'll see that I have both trades. And then you can go down here and you have both trades. So you can edit one now. It's going to be the duplicate of the other one. So you just change the things that are different about it. And then that saves you a little bit of time. Just don't get lazy with this. Don't use the exact same like debrief because it's technically a different entry. Just kind of make sure that you're still filling out everything and going over it. So that can be a helpful way to log, like say you took 3 entries on the same general, trade, you would have very much the same information. So when you come up here and click duplicate, it's going to duplicate the date and all the different parts that are all going to be the same. And it just saves you a couple steps. So let me know if that's helpful at all. Like if you're in a trading day and go into a trade taken, how to go back without exiting the trading hub and starting over. Yes, you can go back. So right up here, you have just regular navigational arrows. And I actually have like my Logitech mouse has like a back button on it. So I can just go back using my mouse buttons. But yeah, you can just go back like however you would normally go back in a browser if you have like a keyboard shortcut or whatever. I think that all works. So I just use up here or right there, it says command plus left bracket and command plus right bracket. So yeah, you definitely can go back. It doesn't undo things. It's not like in TradingView where you click back and it actually undoes the last thing you did. It's more just like a navigational forward backward. So yeah, any other questions? I hope I answered all of them. And then if not, I'm just going to jump back into finishing this weekly review. Carlo, you got a question? That's cool. Just type it out here while I get back in here. Yeah, so the case study trade, we were in this long trade here before we got derailed a little bit. So all of this was filled out correctly. Everything looks good here. You don't do the money section for anyone who's still confused about this. This partial, first partial, second partial, third partial is meant for your taken trades. In the event that you're partialing out, you would use multiple of them. In the event that you're just taking a full TP or a full stop loss, just write the dollar amount right here. So if you took like a 5R full volume TP and you only exited that trade one time because you closed 100% of the position all at once, you would just write the profit amount in the first partial right here. And then the taken trades right here would just total that up. And it's just going to be this amount plus 0 plus 0 plus 0 equals the same amount, right? And then if you're partialing out, or sometimes I like to use like the second partial as like my commission amount. So this will be like plus 1200 and this will be like minus 60 or whatever the numbers are. And that way it's a little bit more accurate and I don't have to calculate commissions on the side or anything like that. But I might add something where you can add commissions, but then you need 4 commission spots as well for the 4 partials. So it gets a little bit hairy, but most of our trades were not taking more than like 1 or max 2 partials anyway. So I think just using these fields for commissions is also fine because it all just gets summed up in here. So however you want to do it. But anyway, your 25.7 R times 20.25% is going to give you 64.25 based off of the $100,000 balance that you have. So is that the correct amount for you? I know some people were having issues changing this.
Yeah, man, it's good.
Okay, cool. So you're basing everything off of 100K then, which is accurate and good for you. Because if you're taking trades or filling out profit based off of like a 50K account, because that's what you actually trade with, and then your case studies are calculating off 100K, then it's just going to be incorrect when it comes to like your, the numbers that you're reviewing at the end of the week. So yeah, this would be all correctly logged here. This is awesome. And then just to go back to so here's an example. Like I don't have to go back to the trading dashboard. I think Hugo was the one who asked. I can just click the back button and click the back button again. So the first back just minimizes the screen because this was the last thing I clicked. So when I click back, it comes back to it being like up here, and then I can just click outside of it to go back here. I think if I click back again, it would also come back here, but regardless. So this is all correct. You're able to view these as well. You can see like all the different R you could have gotten on the different days. It's totally fine to see, that we had no trades available. And then at the top, so even if your week looks like this is a perfect execution of the trading plan. Essentially, that's what it's supposed to be, right? Is like Monday, there was 13.8 R available, Tuesday, break even trades, Wednesday, 25.7 R, Thursday, Friday, nothing was really available for our plan. At the end of the week, you go back here and you say, look, 40 R was available and I didn't even trade. I took 1 break even day and 2 trading days I didn't even trade, and I could have still made 10 grand. Like that's the crazy part about this process. This is what I hope that you guys get from doing this process, is it helps you with things like over trading and other like toxic habits that you might have where you're just like, damn, like I really don't need to be doing the shit that I've been doing. I don't need to be pressing that button that many times, because even if I only took like 4 positions, if I just do what's on the flow chart and I do what I already know how to do, because again, like I said last week, this process is meant to show you that you know how to find these trades, right? Like, where these things are in the market. If you're doing your case studies like on your own and not like obviously at the beginning when you're still learning the strategy, it's fine to be getting like the answers, if you will, from Tyson, like what was available today on his recap calls. That's awesome. I do the same thing. Like I sometimes I do my case study and then I go watch what he said and I'm like, oh, I see, that's the actual answer. And then you just learn from that, right? But yeah, it's meant to show you that even when you're just kind of barely trading, you're not taking like 100 positions, you're still able to easily get stuff like 40 R in a week, which like a lot of people would kill for, right? So yeah, that's pretty much it for the weekly review. You just go through, you would fill out, so this would be checked off now, and then you fill out your reflect section at the bottom, which is just these questions right here. And like I said last time, you can always add stuff or change these questions. It's an introspective process. It's not meant for us. You're not sending us your answers or anything. So if there's something else that you feel is important to ask yourself at the end of each week, you can totally do that, right? Like something that's more personal that wouldn't be in this template, go for it. You can add it to yours and reflect on things your own way at the end of the week. The purpose is for growth, not so much for everyone doing things in like a cookie cutter kind of way. And then the very last step we'll do is we'll just, we'll pull up, I'll let you screen share. Actually, Tyson, did you say you let Timothy screen share as well? Because then we can go through like the creation of a new week together.
Sorry, can you say that one more time, Dave?
Does Timothy have the ability to share his screen as well?
I can give him permission to, yeah.
Okay, cool. So
how just go to share screen, right? Down here, right? Down in the...
Yep, share screen, and then you can select which window you want to share, or you can share your whole entire desktop.
Yeah, he should be good to go now. As long as you're not sharing, Dave, he should have permission. It's only one person at a time that I've allowed.
Yeah, I've stopped mine. Cool. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, this is sweet.
So you're going to walk him through it, Dave, and just make sure that he's doing it correctly?
Yeah, 100%. So,
Awesome.
okay,
I'm
so
just gonna
we,
mute
let's
myself.
assume, yeah. So let's assume that we have now finished the review. So obviously we skipped over the reflect section and you'll still go back and do that, but let's assume that we're done completely with March 14 to 18. Yep, that's going to be your first step right there, is clicking the new button under trading weeks. Yeah, that one, or yeah, either one. And then now we're going to call this March 21 to 25, March 25. However you want to, yeah, whatever your naming scheme is. Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. And then, yep, you can not, we leave that blank for now. And then you just choose the start date, end date. Yeah, either way. Yeah. Template first or date first. It doesn't matter as long as you do both. There you go. Click on that, click on end date and 21 to 25. Perfect. And then that's it. This is done until the end of the week. We don't have to do anything else in this page. So you can click outside of it, just anywhere outside of it. Perfect. Now we're going to scroll down to trading days. Cool. And then the first thing we do is we fix the filter. So on the right, click on the word filter. And then they just released an update, but yeah, you click the rules. Perfect. And then where it says 14 to 18, you're just going to select that and choose 21 to 25. And now you actually have to remove the 14 to 18. So you have to click in there and just click the little X beside it. Perfect. And then click outside of it. And then, yeah, there's now it's updated. So now, yeah, exactly. You go through, you do your trading day template and you choose the day being tomorrow. And you fill in the title as the same thing, March 21. Cool. And so, yeah, just like I showed on the trades, you can actually duplicate this page if you wanted to, and then just change the date. Exactly. You can just click there, duplicate, and then you can change this one to 22. And your template's already there. So yeah, all you're doing is changing that. And then the field below it, the March 21. Yep. Cool. And then you can straight up click duplicate again in the corner of this one if you want.
Again. Wait,
In the middle there.
Sorry.
Yeah. No, all good. And then, yep, change that to 23 and the date. And yeah, just like do that a couple more times. And then you'll see when you go back to your dashboard that all of them will still be there the same way as if you did it the other way. Yep, that's all done. And then just go click on the Fractal Markets, like the home page. There you go. And now you'll have your week ready to go. There they all are, right? March 21 all the way to 25. So yeah, one of the new things. Sorry?
Like the filter. How do I take the filter off? Just
yeah, you can go back to just showing the other days if you'd like, but they're all going to be linked inside of your 14 to 18. Like if you're asking due to wanting to finish your review.
I was wondering how to take off the filter at the top, but I figured it out already.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, so that's pretty much how you set up for the next week. And is there anything else, Tyson, that you want me to go over, or is this pretty much it? You're welcome, Shelby. It's awesome. I'm happy that you got some value out of this and learned how to do things in Notion a little bit. Carlo, basically, if I go and click trading weeks, March 7 to March 11, it automatically pops up all the trades that I took from March 7 to 18. Something wrong with the filter section. So like 2 weeks of trading into the, yeah. So you just need to make sure basically the way that works is if you, Timothy, if you just open up this 14 to 18 for us real quick, when you go down, there's two sections. Yeah, there's a trades taken section and each view. So if you scroll up just a tiny bit, yeah, right here. So you have gallery, table, and calendar. Each view has its own filter rules. So you just want to make sure that for each one, when you click the filter button, Timothy, just click on the filter button. Yeah, and then click rules. You just want to make sure that you have only the 1 week in here. So if you have both weeks, then you just click in there and remove the previous week, the one that's not relevant. And then you want to do that for all 6 of your views. And I released sort of like an update that showed how to make sure that you don't have to do these manually every like 6 times every week. That's in the Notion channel under the Fractal Market section. That's a 5-minute YouTube video I made a couple weeks ago. So as long as you updated your template, then every time you make a new week, that shouldn't happen anymore, and you don't have to go through those initial steps. I think that's all the questions that I see in the chat. We answered all of them. So Tyson, if you're there, just let me know if there's anything else you wanted us to go over while we're on here.
No, I think that's good. As long as basically it's just going to be the same thing every week for the next little bit, just to make sure that everybody's getting that muscle memory of just using the template properly. And obviously there's going to be questions along the way. And as long as everybody's satisfied, we'll move forward. And I'm going to go into I believe there was a question that needs to be answered in the server. So if you guys want to stop your share, and as long as there's no other questions for Dave, I'll take over from here, kind of close this thing out for the last 15 minutes. And then carry on with our day. So thanks, Dave. Appreciate it, man.
Stop sharing, all right? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, please and thank you. Thanks,
Okay.
Tim.
Well, thank you, Tyson,
All right, man.
and everyone.
Cool. Give me 2 seconds. So I'm just going to pull up my trading view. Okay. So one of the questions kind of got asked here was in this area within price. So I'm just going to box this off very quickly so that we can look at this. I'm actually just going to put my bar replay tool on, and we're just going to have a look at the lower time frame, because the question is, why didn't we view XYZ as a change of character? And it's not that it's not a change of character, it's just a matter of understanding where these things sort of happen, right? So the question that was really asked here, let me just get rid of this stuff, is why don't we view this as a change of character? And there's no disputing, it is in fact a change of character. Now the problem with it is that, okay, are we reacting to anything to the left-hand side? And I mean, the immediate answer is obviously no, right? Like we're not reacting to a demand level that's relevant over here. Depending on what timeframes we flick through, obviously we could maybe justify the change of character itself. But here's the thing is, if we think about this in the context of like, okay, if we are shifting order flow and we are looking to start taking this into equal highs, we ideally would have wanted to see a good tap into this, and then the delivery into this. Again, this is kind of what I was talking about over to the right-hand side in more recent prices. It's all about delivery, right? It's all about understanding how price delivers into, let's say, this demand zone right here, and whether or not it makes sense for price to sort of want to travel in this direction. So the question I have for the community, and I'll just pull up the chat right now, is, okay, if the case is that we have in fact changed character like this, and we come back in and we deliver like this, is there any liquidity resting here right now for us to be able to target, or does it still need to be generated? So if you think that there's liquidity, give me a 1. If you think that it still needs to be generated, please give me a 2. There we go. So is this a chalk? Yes, it is 100%. There's no issues with viewing this as a change of character. The first problem is, well, the trend line liquidity is great. It's definitely building for at some point a later move. However, the thing is we still have unmitigated supply, right? That rests right here. We're going to see a reaction to this, right? So if we have unmitigated areas, chances are we're going to get slown up at these regions, right? So you have to remember that the market is not meant to be to sort of trick you. It's all about understanding that if we have unmitigated areas, we need to come in to mitigate them. And if we fail to produce a new low, taking out these lows down here, and order flow reshifts here, this is a higher probability setup based on the fact that we've come up, we've mitigated, we failed to take the low, we've now shifted order flow in this region right here, and that gives us just a higher probability setup. So does it mean that you can't see this as a change of character? No, absolutely you can, but the way that price delivered here, you can see that this low is going to get taken. Does that make sense for you, Jack? Trendline liquidity is there. It's just a matter of understanding what area is going to get liquidated first. And in this case, it's the low based on the fact that, yes, we have changed character, we've come up, we've mitigated. Can you trade this? Yes, you can. With the appropriate confirmations, that's, I guess, the short answer is yes, you can trade it from here. The problem with it is that we don't have a whole lot of liquidity to target, especially when we have unmitigated supply levels to be able to kind of get hung up on, right? We have the equals that form, we come back into the extreme, we come up, mitigate, and there's, without a question, we're going to see some sort of slowdown. Same thing with this. We're going to see slowdown, right? Anytime we have unmitigated zones, we're going to see pullbacks. So it's just a matter of how patient can you be to wait for your setup, right? And understanding that because we have unmitigated supply levels, once we tap into them and then come down to fail to take out the low, this is a lot higher probability setup to then run into this trend line liquidity that we're talking about. So where's the exact point you would enter, and in what way is it better? Well, I just kind of explained that, didn't I? It's basically, like I said, if we want to enter here, that's fine. But we need to see the criteria, right? So if we don't see the criteria, which chances are, like, we can go back and actually have a look here. You'll be able to see in this region right here. So like, let's say we have a 15-minute POI, something like this. Okay, let's see if we have a 1-minute change of character. Okay, so we do have a 1-minute change of character. So my question for you is, what do we have to target here? There's not a lot. You understand? So you have to remember that how we deliver into these areas is going to be a bigger part of the reason why we would get involved with a trade like this, right? So you can just see that, you know, we have this refine zone sitting something like this. Okay, we tap in, we get the 1-minute chalk. Did we sweep this at all? You know, that's the first question: is does this get swept? No, it doesn't. So we're not really following criteria here. There's no sweep, right? So there's no criteria for us. So if you follow the flow charts, we don't have a trade available until we sweep this area. So we sweep down a little bit lower, and then what ends up happening is, because we take out the structural low, we now need to look for new criteria. And what that means is now we have to wait for that 15-minute order flow shift again, right? Because technically we've taken a structural low. Can I get a 1 if everybody's on the same page, and a 2 if you're not quite getting it yet? Cool. Jack, you're the main guy here, just making sure that you're on the same page. So does it mean that we can't look at this? Absolutely. Like there's ways to look at this, but you can just see the way that this delivers from a lower time frame perspective. There's nothing to target, right? Like it would be very, very difficult for the market to want to travel into this direction with nothing to be able to target, right? So now we have equal highs resting right here. So once we take the low, we have fuel to then come up, right? Cool. So hopefully that clears things up. And basically the way that I would have got into this personally I would have been looking at this area. Obviously this didn't happen during our session, I don't think. Yeah, this is at 2:30 in the afternoon. So that's outside of my session that I like to trade. But if you look at, and this is what I was talking about in a previous webinar, is like, you can just see the nature of how these things sort of shift here. You can see this liquidation of the low. We come back up. So ultimately, we need to see a change of character happen at this high. That's where the 15-minute chalk happens, right? Nowhere in here does it happen. So when we push up like this, we come back down, we create equal lows, right? We push back up, we mitigate supply. But the big turn point for me is when we come into this supply range, or this area of resistance, whatever you want to call it, and we push down, but we failed to take out the low. And then we see this huge shift in order flow. And you can see the delivery of how we've, been very corrective coming into the demand zone. We shift order flow and then create demand here. This is the area that I'm interested in, based on the fact that now we have all of these equal highs to run. Then we come up and we print into these equal highs up here, creating this strong low here to then take this to the upside like this. So there's a couple different options, but it's about making sure that we have liquidity to target, because entry criteria is very easy to get into, but if we have no liquidity to support the move on the opposing side, as well as the side that we're targeting, it's very hard to get interested in a move. So I hope that clears things up. Are there any other questions to kind of close this out? Give you guys a second to. POI selection over entry model. That's right. And understanding whether or not we have something to target is, foundational in our trade plan. Probably need to watch this a few times. That's cool, man. We're going to be going over this lots, and we're going to be seeing this almost identical schematic shape up this week for us. with that higher time frame POI sitting there from what was it? Was it FOMC, the news event? But yeah, entry models are everywhere. But if we don't have reason for price to move in our intended direction, chances are you're going to get trapped on the wrong side of the market. Our low is protected after the sweep. Ideally, it is protected after the sweep only once order flow realigns with our trade bias. Being in this community really helped me realizing how much liquidity is important. A lot of people say structure is king, but if you have nothing to target in terms of liquidity or opposing direction orders, it's almost impossible for the market to want to navigate in that direction. I had a question about the London case study you went over on Friday when selecting the M3 refined zone. I understand that it was a clear buy to sell, but it had already been mitigated. Is it okay to look at refined areas within an APOI, even if there isn't an imbalance following the candle? Yeah, I mean, it's all about delivery too, right? So let me, oh man, I can't remember what we really talked about here. Oh, that's right. Up in this region right here, right? The M3. So yeah, it's all about, let me just pull this guy up. Yeah, we had this M3 sort of buy to sell right in here, right? That we kind of talked about. If I'm not mistaken, it was this region, something like that, right? So yeah, we still have a little bit of imbalance right here. Is it partially mitigated? Yes, but the idea behind this is that we are taking all of this liquidity into this region, as well as printing equal highs and then sweeping into it, right? So this is, you know, one of those circuit, like this entire range is ultimately what we are looking at. And then we're looking at refinements within the range to be able to understand how to kind of snipe these entries at the reversal points, right? Or the pivot points. But yeah, it's, even though something is partially mitigated, it doesn't necessarily mean it doesn't have relevance. It's, you have to understand where the orders start to want to reverse, right? And when we build this lower time from liquidity, sweep up into it, and then get criteria around this level, whether or not this is mitigated doesn't really serve as much relevance as the fact that we've taken all the liquidity necessary to come into the specific POI. Does that clear it up, Mike? Cool. Awesome, guys. Well, listen, have a good rest of your Sunday. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you guys tomorrow morning at 5:10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and then again at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the trade recap. Get rested up for the week. Don't forget to get a good sleep before the week. It's super, super important. I don't want to sound like your father, but at the end of the day, if you're not well rested, you shouldn't be on the charts to begin with. Hopefully you guys are getting along half decent, getting into week 2. Don't forget that we do have an area to have content suggestions moving forward, and all of these things will be considered. So yeah, have a good rest of your weekend. Hopefully you guys crush it on the charts this week, and we'll see you tomorrow morning.